This is a podcast that me and Ethan try to do monthly if we can work it out. We're a few weeks behind. But just so you know, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can leave a comment, ask a question. We'll look through and pick a few. But you can also listen to us on the streaming platforms like Apple, Spotify, Amazon, whatever you're using. We're on that too. So Ethan, it's been a little bit. How's it going?
It's going well, man. I'm really excited to get back into it. I take the blame on last time us having a little bit of a delayed episode, but this time I'm going to blame you. I feel like it's your fault this time. So I just want the world just
Yeah.
want the world to know that. I want the listeners to know that it's not just me,
Yeah.
and that we are both busy people,
Yeah, it takes both of us having the right time and availability. And I was gone for 7 days, and it's kind of hard to do this type of stuff. I don't take all my computer gear and everything with me when I'm traveling, so we got it worked out. We got some cool stuff to talk about. I just got off the water like 30, 45 minutes ago and did a floating, and we'll talk about that. We have some challenges that we had challenged ourselves to that I'm excited to talk about that because I got something that I think some people are going to be excited about. I just got yesterday,
Wow.
so I'll go over that. But first, let's just go get right into our last fish that we caught. What'd you catch it on? I don't know if we did it last month, but what was the last fish you caught and what you caught it on? Ethan, you said you got a pretty cool story about that. You want to start it off?
I literally caught my most recent catch was like about 2 hours ago, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. And I got done with work and my son and I were playing and just kind of doing whatever. And we decided, well, let's go down and we'll fish and he'll play with his trucks. And he was just chilling. And I was honestly playing around with an ultralight rod that I haven't fished with yet. And I'll probably do a show and tell on that maybe in next month's episode. But this was the first time I had used it. So I catch a bluegill on just like a donkey-tailed junior, just a little bluegill. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, feels good. Everything's good. And then all of a sudden I make a cast up into the shallows under a tree and my line just takes off. And I'm like, uh-oh. And I was kind of testing new line, testing a new rod. I'm like, all right, well, I had 4-pound braid to a 3-pound fluorocarbon leader on here. So I'm like, all right, we'll see what happens. And I immediately knew that it was a carp, but go on to fight this fish for way too long, like way too long. And my son is 3 years old and we were just hanging out. We were just hooting and hollering.
That's awesome.
He helped me reel it in a little bit. Literally a donkey-tailed junior on a 132nd ounce mule jig. He just slurped it up. But I think that goes to show that fluorocarbon, it's just so invisible. And that 3-pound fluorocarbon, I feel like it just really, the carp wasn't at all nervous about it. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see a picture I have on my phone. Very, very big carp for an ultralight. Like, I don't know how many pounds this thing would be, but it was one of the bigger ultralight fish that I pulled in, and on the larger side for carp. Every now and again, you just randomly catch a carp, and man, that thing put a huge fight up. And it was fun because my son was able to kind of witness it and experience it with me. So I don't know, man. It was great. I'm still buzzing on that one.
That's crazy. I wonder if he'll remember that. Like, if you think back to your earliest memories around 3 and 4, you can start remembering certain things. That'd be kind of cool if you ask him about it like later, like 5 years from now. I think he can like remember that catch or something, or instinctively that's something that could just like he doesn't maybe remember, but he remembers that feeling and like something about it. So that's a carper. Also, like for an ultralight catch, they just don't stop fighting. It's not like you wear them out.
I thought I wore him out probably 10 times before he actually wore out. And you know what else about that? Because that's a great point. When you're catching them from the bank, it's impossible because they're so big and wide to pull them up on shallow, like rocky gravel water. Like, I had to get in the water just a little bit. It was a pain because, in a kayak, it's one thing because all you have to do is you have to get that fish to the surface of the water. You slip a net underneath it. The fights in a kayak or a boat are significantly shorter. When you're on bank and they see you and you're trying to grab them, they gun it, So he it was that was a pain. I cannot believe I was able to land it. So I think the good news is first day testing this rod and this line, I would say that was about as good of a test as I could give it. So I'm excited. That's going to be probably what I talk about later with regards to like goals this coming month, and is just kind of some gear focused stuff. But that was a very good early test. Now I didn't unfortunately like videotape this. Anytime I fish
Yeah.
with my son, I keep it. I filmed some stuff on my phone, so I'll probably post it to Instagram or something. But I don't put my kids on YouTube, and I don't ever plan to. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's just going to be a memory for us. But it was a great memory.
You'll have to show me that. We'll talk about that line because that 3 pound leader line, I like that size. That's interesting because it's right now. It's about. Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
trust
like their
this line a
line.
lot for like
Yeah.
bass fishing.
F,
I figured I would give it a shot. It
you
held
showed
up
it.
super good.
You showed it in the video. Is FC Sniper 3 pound for people that
Yeah. Sunline.
didn't see that? That's the Sunline,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I love
Yeah. I'm
Sunline.
still not used to being podcast.
Yeah,
I'm video guy. I'm not
we're
always audio guy.
podcast guys now,
Yeah,
big
we
time.
are.
Episode number 9, by the way. I don't know if I said that. So ninth episode. Our goal is to do
Pretty
12.
good.
So we got 3 more to do just to do our goal that we started out. And like if you while I'm mentioning this, if you appreciate these, we really appreciate you watching or listening. Leave a comment or like or whatever happens. Tell us if you
Yeah.
see us walking down the road, say, hey, appreciate that.
You
But
can also DM us. You can DM either of us and just give us feedback. Feedback
yep.
this is new for us. This is uncomfortable for us. This isn't something that we're both comfortable talking on camera, all that, but I don't know that we've dialed in this exactly how we want it, right? So it's like we're
Yeah.
always open to your feedback and your perspective. So do not hesitate to reach out. Tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like. That's how we get better.
Yeah, for sure. Every start of this, I'm always like, wait, how do we want to do this? But I will tell you about my fish. So I caught it about 3 hours ago now. No, it may have been 2.5, something like that. And it was let's see, I don't have the picture of the exact one, but this is one similar. If you're looking on YouTube, probably can't see it. It's a Alabama spotted bass, and I got it in a river. It's pretty local to me, 20 minutes down the road. I floated with Alex Rudd, and we fished. It was about a 6 mile stretch. We kind of stayed at the beginning of it because this is controlled by a dam. So, like we waited for the water to generate, but it only generated a little bit amount. We've had like no rain. Like the generation from the water, everything around us is like super low. So the bite was okay. I do want to talk about some of the catches, and I got a show and tell that I'm hopefully it was going to be working really well for the fall. But I caught that fish on a yum dinger. So still, I had mag draft, I had big flukes, I had spinner baits, buzz baits. Alex was throwing a buzz bait and a 120 Chapo. We had all the lures, like all the big fish lures. All the lures get reaction bites, and I still caught the most fish on the yum dinger than anything. And I probably caught 8 fish on a yum dinger, and they're about from 12 to 14-inch range. Super clear water. Like I watched several of them eat my lure, but they just weren't that aggressive fall fish yet. I keep waiting for them to turn on to just like that killer. And I think it's because the lack of rain, but also it's been a really hot summer. So I don't know. I feel like it should already be just chomping. And maybe your river is different and every river is different. So anyhow, we can talk
It's
about that
not
in a
that
little
good
bit.
yet. It's not that good yet here. So,
Yeah, really.
yeah. Well, we've gotten a hot stretch. It
You
started cooling down, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, things are about to be game on. It was brisk in the mornings. Shoot, it's been in the 80s, and that this isn't this is Michigan, right? So take that into consideration. It's not like I'm in Texas or Alabama or something. It's been in the 80s, and that's still pretty hot for here. So I suspect things will start getting pretty good towards the early part of October. We'll see.
As I was floating today, the leaves are just starting to change. I got a few pictures and some video footage of a few of the maple leaves. I guess the maple leaves are like one of the first ones to kind of change
Hmm.
their leaves or change a little. So they're starting to change. It looks awesome. What's crazy is like when you're listening to this, it could be 2 days later, and whatever I'm saying now is totally different.
Mhm.
But today it was, I think the high is right now. It's 70 degrees right now. That's the high today. It was in the 60s all day,
Mm.
drizzling, cloudy, like the perfect fall
I
day. You
love
think
that
you're
weather.
just gonna smash them. It felt awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a decent day of fishing, and yeah, all in all, pretty fun from that. But I'll go ahead and recap my trip to Wisconsin. So
Yeah.
we were planning to do a live stream before I went to Wisconsin, but we didn't get it in. So we'll talk about that and anything I can remember that I did before that. So I went to the Kayak Adventure Series in Wisconsin. It's a tournament that Drew Gregory puts on, and I just forgot. I have a trophy. I got second place. I'll go into. I got second place in the micro division, so I got a trophy, my second little micro division trophy. Um, I found several small little fish and a couple, and so I would have a Bobby Garland ready to go. So every time I'd get a bite from like a small fish that couldn't eat my lure, I would follow up with a little Bobby Garland, and I caught, my average was like 7-inch bass. I caught
Mm.
my smallest one was 6.5, 6.25, and my biggest was 7.25, I believe. And I had like three that were 7.25. It's so funny to see how they're all like the same size. But if you think about it, how bass, they grow they're all going to grow about the same rate.
Mhm.
So all the fish and those younger ones are going to be around the same size. But I caught so many 7 to 7.5 inchers, and I was like, they're all like same size, same size, same size. So I caught largemouth, and then I caught some smallmouth, like little ones. But going up in the tournament, I was so going up to Wisconsin. This was in Sauk City, on the, I don't know, it's on the Wisconsin River.
Hmm.
Wisconsin Lake there's a lake there that it runs into. So I really did no preparation. I was just thinking I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna check a lure and fish are gonna smash it. Well, it didn't go that way. It was actually really tough fishing.
Hmm.
My second day of practice, I floated 6 miles this river with a couple of guys, and I caught two fish. One was a
Jeez.
sauger, yeah, and then one was a little smallmouth. The banks, it was all sand. This whole river is nothing but sand.
Hmm.
I don't know if you have those around you, Ethan, but
I don't know that
it
we
was
have a ton of.
so.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know what to do. And I was throwing the spinnerbait. I was throwing moving lures. Nothing. I'm like, not. I didn't get any the whole week. I don't think I caught one smallmouth on a spinnerbait. I caught a lot of largemouth on spinnerbaits. I mean, it was
Hmm.
the fishing was so different. But what I learned, of course, everywhere you go, there could be fish somewhere, and you just don't know how to catch those. And that's what I learned, that you had to fish a little bit slower. You had to find these sand bars that dropped off. It'd be like 2 foot of water, then drop off 8 foot, not 10 foot of water. You kind of had to find those and fish tight to cover,
Hmm.
slower, or further up north from me, like an hour up the river. And I think they were biting a lot better, and people were catching them better on
Hmm.
moving lures and stuff. So I just had this. I just had this vision of going up and just like, I'm just going to catch all kinds of fish,
Yeah.
and it turned out to be really tough. And then so I targeted pike. So I was like, oh, I'm going to catch some pike.
Nice.
Well, I thought I was.
Oh.
The day of practice, so the second day, I had no less than 9 hits from pike. Didn't get one in the boat.
What?
They were hitting my lure
Golly.
left and right. So the
What were
spinnerbait,
they
it was
hitting? Spinnerbait?
spinnerbait, hit the spinnerbait and just pop off. Hit it again, come off.
Really?
Hit it again, come on. I'm like, what are these pike doing? I had one eat a fluke like 3 times, and the third time he ate the whole thing and just cut me off. I had
Yeah.
one on a buzz bait come off. But I did end up landing a couple of them the next day.
Okay.
But it was just like, I thought it was going to be so easy, and I kept getting bites. I just I couldn't get them hooked all the way, or just like couldn't stay on.
I definitely have pike. They kind of bump a bait a few times, a lot of times before getting it all the way. So they'll come
Yeah.
up. I don't know if they're like nosing it or what they're doing exactly, but like it doesn't surprise me that you got bumped in like short strikes and stuff. But I feel like if you keep it moving, usually they eventually hammer it. And I don't. I'm just surprised to hear that you had that many bites. with
Yeah,
such little success.
well, I would have 2 or 3 I'd like have to the kayak and they flop off like right out of the kayak and
Hmm,
stuff. But if I'd have switched to like a rooster, like a rooster tail style lure, I think I would have caught several more. But I was bass fishing, but also like going for pike at the same time.
sure.
So I'm kind of doing both. But I went in a couple of creek channels and caught several chunky largemouth, like 15
Nice.
inch largemouth that were just thick, and they would hit a spinnerbait, and I caught some on a buzzbait. But the day 2 of the tournament, it was 40 degrees to start out the tournament. So it was like really cold. I went back in the same place that I was just catching fish left and right, and I only caught 2 fish in that
Hmm.
area. Like it totally changed, how they were biting. I couldn't even get pike. Are pike real finicky when it gets cold? Because
I
I
can't
went in
say that
this.
I'm an expert with pike yet. I still want to learn about
Yeah,
them, especially like river pike. I feel like I've just had mixed luck, so I can't claim to be an expert there. I love them when I catch them, but I can't say I have a consistent success rate with those fish.
I had one really cool hit where I threw the buzzbait. He hit the buzzbait, and I jerked and miss him, and I see his weight coming, so I just drag my buzzbait back across, and he boosh, hits it right at the kayak,
Really? Almost like a
and then
musky bite.
then he dug me under the kayak, and he popped off. He had like hit like
Ah,
bent under the kayak. It was pretty cool. So
I bet the
I did,
footage looks cool.
yeah, it was really fun. I definitely still have fun, even if I'm like, and I got like 30th out of 61 in the tournament for the big fish. So I didn't really get anything big and didn't compete like as well as I wanted to, but at the same time, it was fun. I had a fun time fishing, learned a lot, and definitely gonna like apply some of that stuff in my mind. I'll keep that for future trips and stuff like that.
Well, I'm glad you got a new opportunity, new learning experiences. Sorry it didn't work out super well from a big fish or a total fish perspective,
Yeah,
but that's sometimes how it goes. So,
yeah. Tell
you
us, some,
can't catch fish every time, John. Just because you catch fish 95% of the time, you need to be humbled every now and again, the way I see
yeah.
it. I'm kind of glad that you
I know. It's all
uh,
right. That's what I like about fishing though. It keeps you guessing, and whenever you take something for granted, you think, "Oh, this is gonna work." All of a sudden, it's like it's not working.
yeah.
So it
Well,
keeps you moving.
I actually, one of my trips this month was a river trip with Jeff and Paul with Aggressively Average Anglers, and that was a couple weeks ago, a week ago, not too long ago. Um, so we floated down a stretch of river, and man, it's similar deal. Just fish, just not active yet. Now, I should say, I don't think any of us had a lot of experience in that section of the river, so I can't say I know what to expect. It just seemed like when I was starting to catch quantities of fish, they were all just so small, and it required me to fish with finesse. And I started having I had broke off my lure and my leader, and I'm like, I'm not gonna re-rig a leader just to keep catching, dinky fish. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna, power fish and fish with larger stuff, and it just didn't really pay off. We are catching fish just small and just not a lot of them, very scattered, very much junk fishing. They'd bite this, and then all of a sudden you'd catch another one on a different technique, a different, type of cover. There was no consistency. So to your point around like, you know, that fall feed bag, with regards to the rivers in my area, I think it's yet to come, but hopefully I don't miss that window because I do love river fishing. And when they're feeding aggressively, man, it's so much fun.
That reminds me. Let me see if I can find this real quick. I had a I had a fish update to talk about. Oh man, I had it saved, and then it's been so long. I think I lost it. Um, let's see here. It was a muskie. A record muskie was caught, but it wasn't a regular muskie. What's the other? A tiger muskie.
Tiger muskie,
So
yeah.
a record tiger muskie was caught, but I forgot what state it was.
Hmm.
I had the article. Somebody sent it to me. A friend of mine, just like that doesn't even fish, just like sent it to me. Like, hey, I bet you like this. I was like, hey, thanks. So it was Idaho
Oh, okay.
or somewhere like that.
Somewhere west. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like a guy caught the state record tiger muskie.
Let me look at that.
If I'd yeah, if you find it, but that was just got me thinking. Like, I don't even know where tiger muskie live, and I don't think I've ever even fished where they are.
Well, tiger muskie, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, audience here, but um, a tiger muskie is basically a pike mixed with a muskie, and I think that would be something that would need to be stocked because I don't think they naturally are. I don't think they're naturally occurring in the wild.
Oh, I didn't
Um,
know that.
I'm pretty sure,
Okay, sterile.
but I very well could be dumb there. I can't say that I've done a ton of research on
Yeah,
that.
it's a hybrid of a true muskellunge and a northern pike, and they're usually sterile. So yeah, I didn't even know
Okay,
that.
so I was right. Okay, my
Yeah.
gut was right. I haven't honestly looked into them for so long, but yeah, they do stock one of the lakes near me every now and again with not often. I had one on one time. I missed it, but it was literally like probably a freshly stocked fish, that year. It was really small.
Oh,
So it's not like it would have been a trophy by any means. It was literally like a yearling or something. But I unfortunately lost it. So I can't say that I've ever caught one. I feel like those hybrid fish are super cool. I mean, it's the same thing as like there's tiger trout out there. There's lots of unique, cool hybrid fish. It's just kind of a I never really think about them because they don't really naturally occur. So you have to go to very specific locations a lot of times to catch those types of fish.
yeah. That we get the hybrids of
White bass
smallmouth
and
and
stripe.
Alabama bass a lot.
Oh yeah, like a mean mouth or
Yeah,
something.
they call it mean mouth. Actually pretty common around us.
And
It's
those are
actually
naturally occurring because those can technically actually spawn. Yeah.
there's a river by me it's so messed up with the species. It's basically taken over by Alabama bass, but
Yeah.
they in the river part running in. I actually just did a video from this area, but they have taken a sample of the bass in there, and it's had 4 different black bass species in it because we have a
Yeah.
Coosa bass near us, the red-eye Coosa bass, smallmouth, largemouth, and spot. Um,
Yeah, it's
which is like
sad.
it's crazy how
Well, it's
diverse
sad
this.
because a lot of these
Yeah.
fish, like some of those like specific fish populations are at risk because they're just going to get so heavily diluted to the point where there's never like a true strain of some of those native bass species because of the fact that you know that that spotted bass or whatever has kind of infiltrated the system. That's why people don't want you transferring fish, and it's not necessarily that's the only reason, but that's just the environmental impact and the ecosystem impact of transferring fish species that don't belong there. That can make a huge difference on the future of a fishery. So I think that's an interesting thing to bring up.
Yeah, definitely. I never thought of it. I was the kind of person that would have done something like that a long time ago. Just like, hey, let's take this fish, put it over here. All right, look, let's put it over here. But learning like how much it messes everything up. Now I don't. It's like same thing with plants. Like there's certain plants
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's probably even
and this and
worse.
that. Yeah, it's like you don't want to really. It's not going to move any kind of thing around because everything just gets into where it is, and then once you add something new, it just throws everything out of kilter and it has to recalibrate.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. So anyhow, if you ever caught a tiger muskie, it'd be cool to hear from you. Um, speaking of muskie, I got a couple places. I keep saying I'm going to go muskie fishing, and I really want to try to do it this winter. I know a lot of people like you'd rather fish for them in the winter because they I guess they get like the cold. They get more aggressive, and then they just rejuvenate better in the cold.
Hmm.
Where if it's in the summertime, it gets real hot. They can die and stuff. So most people fish for them in the winter. Um, how I don't know if I've ever asked you. Have you caught muskie before? Like regular muskie?
I've never caught a muskie. The only
Oh,
I've had close encounters with them, but I've never caught one. When I first moved up here to Michigan, I told myself, "Oh yeah, that's something I'm going to definitely like look into." And I just, I'm such an ultralight guy and a multi-species guy that I just haven't dedicated the time. And part of that's just being intimidated by the fact that it is a lot of work. But the other thing that goes into like it's a lot of a gear requirement, right? Like it's a totally overhauling some gear selection because it's very like if you really want to go catch muskie consistently, I feel like you kind of have to dedicate some of your arsenal to it. Like you have to buy some specific lures. Like you can actually see if you're watching the video, you can see that white furry thing right above my finger. That's like a giant spinner bait. It's
uh,
not that I've thrown that before, thinking maybe I'll catch a muskie, but hasn't happened. It's a good point though. I think I've heard that in the fall, river fishing, people catch them while bass fishing, like just on spinner baits. So I might have to revisit throwing some big stuff in the river and just see if I get lucky, and I'll probably catch some bass and pike along the way. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
from my limited muskie fishing experience, that it's more about being fishing in a river where there's muskie rather than just trying to go target them. Like
Yeah.
if you're just fishing in a river where there's muskie, you're liable to just catch one, but
Hmm.
with fast fishing or whatever.
I haven't ran into that.
I've caught 2 on Helgramites. I've caught 2 on Yum Dingers, just bass fishing. And then I've caught
Man,
1 on a
awesome.
spinnerbait. I think I've caught 5. I think it's maybe, and I've had
Wow.
2 break me off, or no, I've had more than 2. I've had 4 or 5 actually like break me off, but I was just fishing in areas where there's muskie, and it wasn't like I was targeting them; they're just there.
Hmm.
So that's the main thing. And there's a couple rivers by us that have a lot, and like if you go through them bass fishing, you have a good chance of just catching one, either on whatever you're throwing, basically, because they'll eat little things.
That's
They don't
wild.
only eat big lures.
It's just
So
wild because it's like I feel like I've fished areas that people say they've caught them enough for like bass, with bass gear, and just never really had interactions. And maybe it's just, coincidence. Maybe they get different pressure here. Maybe there's less population density in my area. I don't know. But, there's also an inland lake, just like a small lake with a lot of clear water and vegetation. And I've seen them cruising. It's such a cool fish to see, right? Like whether you're catching them or
yeah.
not, it's just such a cool fish to see. They're just an absolute alpha. They're so freaking cool. So there's definitely, I know where they live. Um, Sometimes when those smaller inland lakes in my area, it's just everybody else knows they live there too. And so what happens, they get a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So, out of any fish that's going to get really heavily pressured, I don't know if I'd want to target a heavily pressured muskie because they're already hard enough to catch from what I hear. So,
That's another reason. Like if you are targeting them only, and like you're not trying to catch bass or whatever else
you're
bites,
not going to
also,
catch other species. Yeah.
yeah, and it could be a long, boring day. You might get a
Yeah.
follow or two. Like people that I mean, and especially if you like doing that, that's what you like doing. That's fine. That's like the guys that sometimes they'll go to places they fly fish only. Like it may be a lot harder, but they're like, that's what I enjoy doing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't
Oh,
want
yeah.
to.
It's
I don't
cool.
like that doesn't excite me to go just fish all day. And that's where I don't even like. That's why I don't really like go trophy fishing for bass either. Like I'm not going for big bass. I'm just going to catch bass. Like I'd rather just catch fish. So the
Yeah.
trophy fishing stuff is not my style really. So most
Yeah.
people
I think
realize that.
yeah, when there's a time where I have just like lots of hours to fish, I definitely like I'm not afraid to play around with like big stuff and really just say like let's go. It just feels like those times are very, very few and far between nowadays. And so I know that there's going to come a day where I'm going to say, look, this is big bait month and all I'm going to do is just huck around big stuff. But it's just not that time right now, but it's probably in the future for me. So for the time being, let's just throw around dinky little things and catch a little bit of everything. And we're out there for an hour to 3 hours at a time and, make do with what we got.
Well, and what's funny is like I thought I would do that. Like I thought, once I've fished for a while and I've been, doing this full time on YouTube and fishing, I'll probably just have days where I just go only throwing big lures. I think I've done that twice. Like
Hmm.
I just can't make myself do it. It just I don't know what I still just enjoy catching fish too much. I think I just
Yeah.
enjoy catching fish too much to spend all day, just for anything. So speaking of fishing, I got a little show and tell, and I got some
Yeah.
questions because I need some help. First off, I picked up this new buzzbait. Oh yeah, it's buzzbait time. So this is let me get it off. I'm gonna describe it while I show it. Greenfish buzzbait.
Hmm.
I think a half ounce. I can't remember what weight is. Half ounce or 3/8. It's something. But I picked this up in Wisconsin, and I guess it's a popular. Hold on, take a listen to this. Ooh,
Oh.
it's got a good squeal. This thing sounds insane going through the water. It is very. It's a compact. Now this one is all black. It's black blade and a black trailer, and it's a Ethan, if you can see that. See how
Oh yeah, I
it's
saw it.
kind of short and compact, where I know
Mm,
some of them are longer. Now I've probably caught 10 fish on this lure, and that's something I've been messing with a little bit more is buzz baits
I like
compared
buzz
to
baits.
like whenever they do hit a buzz bait, it's really fun. You got a single hook,
Yep,
like you don't have to worry about having treble hooks and stuff. It
100%.
pins them. So this is my setup. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. So I have I think 30-pound braid to
Okay.
this. I got a 8:1 gear ratio reel, so it's a little faster reel, and my rod is a 7.2 moderate fast. It's a medium, feels more like a medium heavy, but it's a moderate. Should I be using a moderate on a buzzbait or just a fast? And that's where I've been
Yeah,
going back and forth on.
yeah. There's probably. I'm sure there's different opinions out there. My perspective is look at the hook. The hook looks to me like a jig hook, so I say fast.
Yeah,
I would rather use a stouter rod because to bury that hook. That softer blank, I feel like there's just potentially more room for error in burying the hook, or there's more time taken to get that hook buried. But that's, I don't know. Everybody seems to have different perspectives on these things. I like fast rods. Like that's just kind of my comfort zone. And I even like them for chatterbaits and stuff. And a lot of people want a softer blank. So you take that for what it's worth. But for me, I've always thrown buzz baits on a fast rod and I've had mostly good luck.
you go straight braid also,
I
or
just throw it on whatever I've got. But yeah, I mean, I would throw it on braid if I have braid on there, but I'll throw them on fluorocarbon, right? Like I'll throw it on the same rod I would throw like, spinner baits and swim jigs and stuff on, because realistically with a buzz bait, you don't need floating line, so a fluorocarbon's
yeah.
totally fine because it's one where you have to keep it moving to keep it on the surface anyways. So I've probably thrown on fluorocarbon more than anything, to be honest.
Hmm. It's
Yeah.
for me. It's just about it's about the hookup. Like I'm terrible topwater fishing because like I'll see the blow up and I'll just yank set the hook like too fast. Like I don't let the
Mm,
fish eat it a lot of times,
mm.
and that's how I fish. So sometimes when I find something that works for me, might not work for somebody else. But also that's why I
Yeah,
talk to other
exactly.
people, and some people are very good at waiting, and like they'll hit it and they'll just swing into it.
Do you feel like when you do hook fish on the buzzbait that you're waiting? Like to me, I almost feel like out of any topwater buzzbait's one where, by the time you're seeing something, they almost have it because the fact that hook is underwater.
Yeah.
The
Well,
bait
yeah.
the bait is physically underwater. The propeller is at the surface. So it's not like they're, I don't know. I guess every topwater bite's a little different, right? Like some are crazy aggressive, in which case they might literally smack the bait out of the water and they obviously don't have it. Other times they're like slurping it. Like that's what a lot of
Yeah.
times like a buzz bait, it'll be coming and they like almost like suck it down and
Yeah. It
it's
just
like it
goes
almost
under.
just gets pulled underwater and I just set the hook, I just go for it and
Yeah.
it works. But I threw mine around quite a bit last year when I was doing a lot of smallmouth fishing and I throw the War Eagle, which I'm sure you probably have a few of those because you like War Eagle stuff too.
I got some several.
I love their buzzbait. I think it's like literally it's like $5. That thing's killer. I think we've actually talked about it in the past. So
Yeah. Well, that
yeah.
was going to go into my next section.
Hmm.
So I
There
have
you
here a
go.
1/2 ounce War Eagle. I took this and I threw it on my spinnerbait rod. So it's a
Yep.
610 medium fast, and I have 16-pound fluorocarbon for my
Yeah.
spinnerbait
Sounds like what I
setup.
would throw it on, to be honest.
So I took it to the creek and waited, and I caught like 15 fish on this. It was an insane day. This was
Did
like
you have hookup issues?
only on the small ones. I think it was because they were small, and I missed those. But
So
other
that's
than
like
that,
basically the exact same setup I've used. I would say 6'10" potentially could be an issue on longer casts. Like you want to
mhm,
be able to move a little bit more line. So like that 7.2 you said might be good for like longer casts. But for me, 6'10" has been fine because a lot of times I'm kayak fishing and I'm making tight casts up on the bank. So I don't need a huge length, but that's interesting. It sounds to me like you kind of answer your question a little bit. You had success with that one and you missed small
yeah.
fish. Who cares? You just,
Yeah,
you're a
I've just
trophy
been
hunter.
going back and forth trying to find the right one and like something I'm really comfortable with. But I think the moderate going with the braid makes up for the moderate, and then with having the fluorocarbon on the other one and being a little shorter kind of makes up for that. So
That's
it's kind of
fair.
give and take. But yeah, this that you were talking about, this is the War Eagle buzzbait, and it's very compact and works great. And I took so I have a video here. It maybe 3 weeks ago now, where I went to a creek that it's a crazy awesome little stretch of creek that's got um largemouth and some Kentucky spots in it, and it's just like this 2 mile stretch that I fished like a little bit of it, and it's like a small creek where it finally gets a little bit deeper, and it's like a rock bed before it really gets deep. It's like this perfect scenario for ambushing. So it's got these rock ledges, and that was probably the best day I ever had in that creek. And they were just hammering it, and I ended up catching one that was like it was over 2 pounds. It was like a big old largemouth for that creek. Like it was crazy, but I had so much fun taking it in there and fishing with it. But let me show you this one last thing, and then we'll get back to you. This right here is another War Eagle product that's new, and let me show you because this is something I'm excited about.
Hmm.
I love spinnerbaits, so I now have two dedicated spinnerbait rods. They're both
Look at
610
this
medium
guy
heavy.
go. Look at him
I'm
go.
I'm like, you know what?
Look,
If I'm
2 years ago, you were throwing a spinnerbait on a spinning rod. Now all of a
yep,
sudden,
I know I've changed. I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to throw a spinnerbait so much, I'm going to really get good and find the right rod that I'm comfortable with. And I've taken it up. Now I've caught tons of smallies and on the Susky and everything, and I've like caught a lot on spinnerbait. Well, this one right here is a War Eagle spinnerbait, and they have changed the top to where it's
hmm
twisted together instead
hmm
of it being like a V shaped. So it has made these hold up so much better from bending out like they normally do. Because I've bent a lot of these out. I catch a lot of fish on spinnerbaits, so I wear them out.
I've always wondered why more spinnerbaits don't do that. Like, what's the negative with that? Does it
I
potentially hang on weeds just a little bit more? I don't.
I don't know, but I love it. And also
Yeah,
your
I do too.
line won't slide around, so
It also,
it's
yeah.
basically got a little pinch at the top where the line would normally slide around. It's a circle, but that's the War Eagle Extreme Series. Got a trocar hook. So
You know what
I
else that
got
does
several of
too?
these.
For those pike guys and anyone that likes to use a swivel, it's like,
Yes,
you know how much of a pain in the rear it is to try to throw a spinnerbait without that on like a leader, like a steel
right.
leader. It slides all over the place, so that's actually super super handy for that next time you go to Wisconsin and miss every pike or whatever.
Yeah. So I threw it up there. I did. I threw it there, and
Uh,
I caught some fish on it. But they also make one. I don't know if it's not word. Booyah makes one called a pikey, and it's
hmm,
basically like the same thing, and it comes with a steel leader. So it's
nice.
spinnerbait called a pikey. But yeah, that's my show and tell for today. And anyway, the buzzbait, I was talking about it because the buzzbait and the spinnerbait I use all year, but the buzzbait and spinnerbait I will be using a lot this fall because those fish usually are going to start just eating whatever they see, especially something moving through their water. And if you can catch them on a buzzbait, I caught 4 or 5 today, and they were just blew up on it. It was really fun.
Yeah, that was the one thing I wanted to tie on when I was recently out with Paul and Jeff that I just never ended up doing it. I had a whopper plopper and I threw that a lot, and
Mhm.
it just didn't commit. I had a couple bites on it, but yeah, I think we're getting to the point where we probably need to check in on some of our things we talked about in the last episode, which was a while back. But I'll go ahead and kick off if you're good with that, and then you move over to you.
Yeah. So we left off with we challenge ourselves each into each episode with what we're going to try to do before our next meetup. What was your challenge to yourself?
Yeah, so I had gotten the Wilderness Systems Radar 115, and I believe I mentioned I correct me if I'm wrong, crew, but I believe that what I wanted to do was to get out and get more acquainted with that rig, and I definitely did that. I took it out a couple more times, spent some time on it, caught a like a 19 and a quarter, 19 and a half inch bass.
Oh,
Yeah, like a real nice one for that lake that I historically have not had a lot of big fish on. That was really great. And that was a little bit ago. And then I took it out again. And I'll be honest with you. I am getting more acquainted with it, and there's a lot about that kayak I really, really do like. I'd say that it is. I think what I would honestly be most excited about with that kayak is just paddling it, though. It just
Huh.
paddles very smoothly. It's a very nicely designed fishing kayak for that. What I do have a challenge with is they just their pedal drive system is not up to standards with some of the others on the market. The rudder control does not have a tight enough turning, diameter, like turning radius. You turn that thing all the way to the side, and you're just not moving left and right enough, and that's not ideal for kayak fishing. You need to be able to really be able to turn on a dime, especially if you're like river fishing or whatever. So it's important to have really good control. And so that's one of the downsides with it. That being said, when I've taken it out, I've enjoyed it. Right. So like there's something to be said about that. And I am going to continue to fish with it and play around with it. We're getting close to time here. And I don't want to get too lengthy, but I also haven't published it on my YouTube channel yet. So we're going to talk about this next time. But in the next go around, I'll talk a little bit more about kayaks because I actually have another kayak update.
Hmm.
I did sell Jolene, which was my Old Town
No.
Sportsman. I sold my Sportsman PDL 120,
Okay.
but I still have two kayaks because I replaced it with something else. So a
Ooh.
little bit of a sneak peek. Stay tuned for the next podcast, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So that'll be one thing that I bring up next time. The other thing, like from a fishing goal standpoint, like what do I want to do between now and then? That rod I was telling you about earlier, I've got a couple pieces of equipment I really want to go play with. So I really want to do some ultralight fishing. Um, I'd like to get out and target. There's a lot of things I'd like to do, but if I'm going to kind of narrow it down, I think I would like to go find some crappie. I really haven't done a whole lot of crappie fishing this year. I'd like to catch a little bit more of that like late summer, early fall bite before they start transitioning too much. So that's one thing I'd like to do. I can't say if that'll happen or not, but no matter what, I'm definitely gonna get the ultralight out and play around.
I like that because I want to catch some crappie too. That's something I've been talking to my couple of buddies around me, and there's about that time they start moving in some of these little back creeks and everything like that. Um, I was gonna say something about your. Oh yeah, so I'm excited about seeing about the. We're gonna hear about the new kayak. So your new kayak, we're gonna talk about it. Your new ultralight setup. Hopefully you've caught some. What's your PB crappie? Do you know like length or
I don't
weight or
have
anything?
like a weight or anything. I mean, probably in the 14-inch range. Some people have caught some like megas, like 15,
Yeah.
16 inch. If I still lived in Kansas, there's no doubt in my mind that we'd be catching fish like more that caliber. But here in Michigan, like 14 inches technically master angler. So
Yeah.
I've caught a lot in the 13 to 14-inch range. I've got a body of water that I really, really, really like for crappie, and that's where I would like to get before the next time we touch base. But I don't know if I'll be able to. But man, I hope I get there because man, this ultralight I could put some flex in that on some crappie. There's no doubt in my mind. What about you? What's
Um,
your biggest?
14, I think. Like that's our master
Yeah.
angler also, Tennessee. And I can't think of. I remember I went measuring a couple around 14. I know it ain't over 14. Like I've never had a 15 or anything like that. Which I mean, I know people caught like 17s and stuff, but
Yeah, and it's like I have
like
no idea what I've caught, to be
that's crazy.
honest. I think before like getting really into crappie, I probably caught some really, really good ones that I just never thought to be like, hey, like how big is this?
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Well, I got my challenge was last time was I wanted to buy a new truck. So I've just been I am a if you don't know me, I'm a vehicle enthusiast. I've had well over 100 different vehicles
What?
that I've bought and sold in my life. Oh, easily. Probably 150. At one point I had them
So
all like
are you like my friend in high school where like you pull up to your house and there's like 20 cars just sitting there and they're all yours? Like
I
and you
have
don't
four
drive
vehicles
them
right now
ever?
in my four vehicles in my driveway. I live alone. So three of them
Jeez.
three of them work. One of them almost works. But
That's great.
so I thought I was going to buy a truck. I wanted to buy a truck, and I have my main truck. It's a 2019 Dodge Ram 4-door. I love it. It's like it stays loaded with fishing gear. I was wanting something else, and I couldn't. I was like, man, I wanted either a toy, like, or just a different truck. I'm always just going through vehicles. I just that's my hobby of my other thing that I just like to have. So I came across something after weeks of looking on Facebook, and I bought it. A 2004 Z71 Suburban, not a truck, but I've had two Suburbans, and I've like, you know what? And I came across this one, and I gave $5,000 for it, and I bought it yesterday. I gotta go tomorrow and put it in my name, but I never had a Z71 Suburban. It is absolutely loaded with every option they had in 2004, the year I graduated high school, by the way. But so it's got heated seats, like power mirrors, cruise. It's got the controls on the steering wheel, like radio and stuff. It's got everything except for like a sunroof. So it's got some work. It's got almost 200,000 miles, but the 4-wheel drive works. It rides super comfortably. Not much. It's like just some light rust. Nothing rusted through. It's a Southern truck, so it's not like rusted out. Yeah, I'm excited about getting this thing ready. Basically, somewhat like an overlanding vehicle. I'm just saying that. I'm not really going to do a lot. I love to level the front, put a more aggressive tire on there, go through all the maintenance on everything. I'm not going to do it. I don't have anywhere to do it really. 10 years ago, I'd do all this myself, but I don't have anywhere to do this. But take it somewhere and do a lot of this stuff, and then drive on some big trips with a bed in the back. That's my biggest thing. I wanted something I can pull over on the side of the road, jump in the back in a comfortable bed and sleep. I've probably slept 20 to 30 times in my truck. I lay the seat back and I lay back, but it gets kind of rough. It's hard to stay comfortable doing that.
Sounds terrible. Yeah, I wouldn't want to sleep in your actual seat that you drive in.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And you're a big guy. People that are watching this and listening to this, John's not 5 foot. He's it would be easier to get more comfortable if you have less length, right? But you're 6'4" or so. You're
6'4".
You're tall.
Yeah.
You're a tall, big guy sleeping in your truck. That sounds terrible. I would not be able to sleep like that. Maybe when I was 17, 18 years old. I'm an old man now, John.
I think
sounds like a cool rig, dude. I'm excited to hear about some of these adventures. I want to see 3-day, multiple part videos where you're doing you're showing off the trip, and part of that is you vlogging from your vehicle and setting up kind of your little camp spot in a Walmart, parking lot or wherever that may be.
I wanted
out in a Walmart parking lot. That clickbait. There you go.
Yeah, that is, people do that. That's where I normally stick when I'm traveling in my truck and I want to sleep in my truck. I got a Walmart parking lots. There's always other people sleeping in their vehicles there. Other than if you go to Miami, they run you off. There's a couple down there that you're not able to stay in. But pretty much that's it. But anyhow, it's something I'm really excited about. Hopefully that I find no major problems, and I add a little bit of stuff to take out the back seats, add a little stuff, make it comfortable, and I do some kind of trip where I go somewhere, because that's the most expensive thing in traveling is just staying at a motel. It costs so much, and if I can stay in my vehicle, I'll usually like to stay in a motel every other night, where I'll just stay, get a shower, sleep.
Okay,
in a
I've got a new goal
in my truck.
Folks, for those of you listening, I've got a new goal, and this doesn't really benefit me in any way, and that's okay. I want it to benefit my good friend John. We need to get either Airbnb or VRBO to sponsor this podcast. And what we want an X $1,000 worth of credit to be used on their platform, so John can go get a good night's sleep when he goes on these fishing trips, because I don't want him in a Walmart parking lot, some creepy dude, on some sort of drugs, looking in his window, knocking on there. Hey, can I get one of them fishing poles? I want you to be safe and sound, sleeping well, so you can get up early in the morning and miss a bunch of pike on your spinnerbait or whatever. Yeah. So, let's get together. Let's put together a petition. I'm going to send it to the president of Airbnb. let's get John like 10 grand worth of lodging stay from Airbnb annually. That's what we need to do. We got to get that done.
Speaking of that, I mean, I got an Airbnb already reserved for in 3 weeks. I'll be going down to Gunnersville on the Knucklehead tournament. I got 4 guys joining me. So our next update, is we might have a video right before it, or we might do a video episode right after, because it's at the first week of October. So I might have to wait.
Well,
we might have
because
to
this
do it
one's
right
late,
after
we
that.
might want to just because this one's late. What we're going to do is we're going to do it right after. So what we're
Yeah.
going to do in that next one, we'll talk about that tournament, guys. We're going to talk about my kayak situation.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about all sorts of that stuff, and hopefully our title sponsor will be Airbnb at that time.
Presented by Airbnb. Yeah, that would be nice. And also the weather's going to be changing. It's going to be dropping, hopefully. So I'm excited to see what we've caught by next episode. It's always fun to see what we had, what's going on. But yeah, Ethan, I guess we're probably at the end of this. We're going to wrap it up here. If you didn't know, you've been watching the Whatever's Biting podcast. Ethan, you got anything left to say?
I just appreciate everyone listening. This has been fun. Sorry for the delay. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks for watching. See y'all.